If you were like me this past weekend and you were busy watching the new Hololive Gen 3 debuts, including but not limited to my new favorite Hololive members being the twins that share a brain cell, then you might have almost missed the new trailer that dropped this past weekend for Mortal Kombat 1, including Geras and some banger Liu Kang gameplay. Once again, another win for my MK1 roster prediction video. I'm only 8 off from predicting the entire thing 100% correctly. Geras and a few other characters in Mortal Kombat 1 are in a very unique situation that we've only rarely seen in MK's past, being how characters get redeemed in the scope of a large character cast that simply doesn't know what to do with them upon their inception. Li Mei is one in this game, Frost in Mortal Kombat 11 was another, and even Kenshi in Mortal Kombat 10 is an example of this sort of thing. Large roster stories tend to lose people in the shuffle of the major plot points of their story, and Mortal Kombat 1 is seeking to rectify their writing of some of its characters in the past. Geras is one of these examples, so let's talk about his redemption and how he was written out of a rut. Before we start, hi, I'm Zak Not Kyle, or Zak for short, and I talk about video games as they pertain to creative writing and popular culture. I'm currently studying for my BFA and MFA in creative writing, and I'd love if you stuck around for some funny, goofy content. Subscribe with the silly red button, like this video, and comment your thoughts on this situation below, and without any further ado, let's get into this mess. The first thing to talk about in regards to Geras specifically has to do with his run in the last MK game and his first appearance, Mortal Kombat 11. Please do not turn my slander of Mortal Kombat 11's writing into a drinking game because you will be in the hospital. On the subject though, Geras was a newcomer to the franchise and served as one of the more unique standouts for the roster this time around. There were only a few new characters to choose from, being Collector, who was underwhelming for most people who played the game. There was also Cetrion, who was built up to be an amazing character, only to be ruined under the constraints of writing too many goddamn villains in one story. Finally, we reach Geras, who was a promising character that was just not written much at all. Let's go through his story and unpack his character a bit, shall we? So Geras' first appearance in the story of MK11 sees him taking vials of the Jinsei in order to give it to Kronika. Geras fights Liu Kang and Kung Lao in the Wuxi Dragon Grotto, aka my favorite stage, and it is here that we see Geras die. Can you imagine if I just ended the video right here? I'd be rolling. At least that's what Liu Kang and Kung Lao believed upon first glance. Geras is a person who never ages past a fixed point in time. Because of this, he will never age or die, and every death results in him being reborn stronger than his last iteration. And that is cool as hell. We see him square up against Kung Lao and Liu Kang, but he loses in the actual fights. Right after this, Liu Kang and Kung Lao attempt to take out Geras once more. However, Geras freezes them in time to take the vitals from them. He remarks that it's dangerous to leave them alive due to the threat that they pose to Kronika's will. Kronika tells him, however, that if these versions of the warriors die, then their revenant forms, which succeed these versions of Liu Kang and Kung Lao, would die, and they are needed so they can defend Kronika's keep. And that probably sounds very weird and convoluted. It sounds that way because it is. Basically, if Liu Kang and Kung Lao die, all versions of the time-merging nonsense die, and their evil versions are useful to Kronika, so she lets them live. That's it. Back at Kronika's keep, Aaron Black and past Kano are with Geras discussing a way for them to get paid to do some services for Kronika's army. They arrive at a medical unit where Sector's body lays on the bed. Kano says he can repair Sector's framework for a price, and Geras asks if Sector's data can be replicated. And this is clearly done to bulk up the forces of Kronika so she has complete dominance, basically. The problem is that Frost is already aligned with Kronika already, so what is the point when Frost has a whole cyber army chilling over at the Cyberlin Quay assembly line that they can use at their disposal? While they discuss this, current Kano comes in and is already aligned with Kronika and tells his past self and Aaron Black to take the deal. They oblige, and now let's discuss this part before we move to the part where he fights Sonya. The big thing to discuss here is that Geras is introduced as a massive threat with insane powers worth exploring. The characters he beats are wildly powerful, so seeing some degree of research into Geras' powers, their source, how to eliminate them, etc. would be very beneficial to this story. Exploring a weakness that Geras has would be vital to the story since Geras is the closest thing to an invincible character that we've seen in a story mode. And not only that, Geras is also a character who straight up can't die, so how would they work around that when Kronika is not only guarding him but giving him immortality? Explore that. The way I would have written this is to figure out how Geras works, maybe through investigative research from the Special Forces or Liu Kang and Kung Lao themselves. There's a point in time where Geras is frozen in order to make him never die, so how do you make that metaphorical clock move? That frozen point in time that makes him never age or die is something that needs to be tampered with to make him finally be done in. Having that research done and having a B-plot where one of the characters is tracking down the necessary information or tampering with the hourglass in a chapter would develop Geras greatly and show our characters how they're going to get closer and closer to Kronika, making her exploit her armies to their breaking point, leading them to turn on her or weaken her greatly to set up for our final act in the story, with Liu Kang ending her rewriting of time itself. And this is unfortunately not what happened. Instead, Geras is sent to find Sonya and Cassie and kill them, because Kronika's son Shinnok was a little shithead who Cassie demolished in the last game, so we gotta bring that back somehow. Geras gets beat up by Sonya, and then Cassie, oh my god, Cassie, in her badass ways, drives an entire forklift into Geras, drops 2 grenades, and then it just explodes. And that is badass, don't get me wrong, but what did I just watch? Oh, and another thing I didn't mention is that Sonya knows that Geras can't die. So what is the point of Cassie driving an entire forklift and then exploding his body if he just rematerializes out of sand? See what I mean by exploring character concepts is a good idea? Later in Raiden's chapter, Geras is seemingly at his highest power yet, but loses to Raiden and then drowns in the Sea of Blood. The only problem here is that the Sea of Blood is bottomless, so Geras will fall forever. And honestly, that's kind of a good way to do away with him, but I wish we got more build up, to be honest. Also, Raiden is now 2 for 2 on making immortal people suffer eternally. He did it with Shinnok in the beginning of the story, and then did it with Geras in chapter 11. So in the end, we were left with a character that got next to no screen time, despite having one of the most unique and interesting movesets we've ever seen, along with one of the craziest unexplored plots we've ever seen of how Geras' aging and death-defying powers work. What a waste. So now cut to Mortal Kombat 1, where I got so excited for Geras this time around. Oh man. Geras is now a dear friend of Liu Kang, and he is the keeper of the Hourglass instead of Kronika this time around. First W for Geras has been achieved, he has power. Geras is also now an all-knowing figure in this timeline, and he has seen where Liu Kang's timeline has led in the future, it seems. And he tells Liu Kang that his vision for peace is compromised already, and there's a threat waiting for the universe he's created. Second Geras W. And for the final one in the trailer, we have a dueling fatality where Liu Kang summons a black hole, and Geras summons the earth around him, and they grind their respective opponents into nothing in different ways using the same method. Geras just became a better character in 3 minutes than in the 4 years he was in this franchise. God damn. I think this points out an interesting fact in regards to how Mortal Kombat 1 is seeking to redeem its faulty writing in the past. Every roster spot is now filled by a character with purpose in the story. When the roster spots are filled that way, it's a lot easier for people to gravitate towards characters because the story mode allows them to get to know these characters a lot better than in MK11, where a lot of characters were paid dust, no pun intended. It's very interesting to see Geras' full transformation from a lackey to an important figure in this universe. It shows that characters from the 3D and MKX era can make a return with the right plot motivations, and that not all hope is lost for characters where it was previously assumed so. Mortal Kombat has an entire graveyard of characters to explore, and Geras is just the first. We obviously don't have all the pieces of the puzzle to figure out just how impactful Geras will be, but this is looking insanely promising for any of the older 3D era characters and the more recent characters of the franchise, all because of some course correction in the creative writing of Mortal Kombat. But that's where I'll leave it for today. Did you like Geras in Mortal Kombat 11? Do you like Geras in Mortal Kombat 1? Do you not like Geras in either of those games? Do you wish Geras got a little bit more plot development? Are you excited to see him in this next game? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, I'm gonna go work on a new video, and then there's a hair in my mouth and I'm gonna eat it. Dinner. Bye, sis.